Welcome to Sit Down News. I hope everyone's enjoying their day today. Before I begin, I just want to once again give a shout out to our sponsor, Ratchet Clothing. They're out of the UK. Ratchet, I spoke to, and they are going to be sending me over some new shirts. As soon as I receive them, you'll be seeing me wear those. They're a little different than the tie-dye. I'm going to put a link down below for anyone that wants to go and check Ratchet out. You could do that. All right. Let's get down to business. So today I want to speak about two people, and they are Gambinos. And one of them is Ernie Grillo, and the other one is Mickey-Boy Paradiso. Just to put it into perspective, back when I'm speaking about, Mickey was the captain or captain, and Ernie was in his crew. Ernie was just a soldier, and he might have at one point after that became an acting captain for Mickey. But to go even further, I have a history with Ernie that goes back to when him and I were in prison together. We were in a state system. When Ernie got out, he got busted again, and it was a federal pinch, and he went and did a few years in the feds. It's when he comes home from that bid that we link up in Staten Island. At that time, I am not a member of any family. I kind of am doing my own thing at that point. So, and what I mean by that is I came home and did about 5 years on state parole and basically stood to myself. I was on paper, as they say. So this is right after that. During that time, Ernie is shelved. And for those of you who don't know what shelved means, it means that he's inactive. His position within the family, he's stripped of his membership. The reasoning behind that, I know some of it, there may be more. I can tell you what I knew. The federal case that Ernie caught with a bunch of other people, there was an informant that was wearing a wire named Joe Valello out of Staten Island. Previously, before this, he was away with Nicky Carrazzo. So now Nicky Carrazzo at one time was going to be the boss of the family. He winds up getting jammed up and he goes in. So he was slated to be the boss. Long time wise guy from the Gambino family, well respected. He is the one who sent this guy, Joe, out there to everyone to do business with, because the guy owned the trucking company in Staten Island. And he jammed everybody up this guy. And Ernie blamed Nicky Carrazzo and badmouthed Nicky Carrazzo. And obviously this gets back, not a good thing to do, gets back to the administration that's out in the street. Ernie also complained about some of the wiretaps. They were calling him various nicknames. A lot of guys do that. Actually, it's a good thing they're doing it, although the feds probably know a lot of these nicknames. A lot of times they're using code names when they're talking about somebody. They don't want to mention the guy's name. And they were calling him Frog Eyes, they were calling him Baldy, and whatever other nicknames that might have came up. And he was insulted by this. And there was an issue over that. So these two things together, and maybe something more that I didn't know. I can always speak about what I heard. Ernie gets shelved. They strip him of his membership. He's shelved. I know this. When I link back up with him, I'm aware that he's on the shelf, but he's my friend from prison. A good case in point of how things are said and misconstrued, or people just say things to say them, especially on YouTube. This goes on all the time. People make comments, people come up with their own ideas, and a lot of it is wrong. And a lot of it is taken out of context. And I'll show you one example. A while later, I ran into Blaze Carrazzo. They come from my neighborhood. Our families go back from East New York and know each other since they were kids. And this is before I'm a friend with the Lucchese's. He made a comment that he heard that I was staying with Ernie, And he knows the only reason I was staying with Ernie was because I thought that Ernie could do something for me. In the street, when they speak about, are you going to do something for somebody? Do you have intentions for somebody? That's in reference to being straightened out, meaning inducted into the family. I turned around and smiled at Blaze and I said, no, I'm not. That's not why I'm staying with Ernie, because he's a friend of mine. We go back from prison, and he didn't say nothing. And this is all the way back then. But just to go to show you right away, that is what a rumor, somebody came up with it, and it could go around. And it's not true, because I knew Ernie was on a shelf. Now, if I didn't know he was on a shelf and I'm hanging around him, it may look like, oh, he's trying to get, go on record with Ernie, and maybe Ernie will get him straightened out. Not the case. So I fast forward. Ernie gets reinstated, meaning taking off the shelf, and he's back to being active. Now, how this comes to play is Mickey-Boy Paradiso. Mickey-Boy is an old timer with the family, very well known, very, very respected, tough guy, nice guy, and has a relationship with Ernie. And it was Mickey-Boy that went to the Sicilian faction because he had a relationship with them. Obviously, now they made him consigliere, and got Ernie reinstated. They went over it, made a decision, took him down off the shelf, and reinstated him. And I had now become inducted myself. I had a conversation with Ernie about going into the life. We discussed it. We went over the pros and cons. And, he basically told me, congratulations. I wasn't yet a friend. I eventually go on to meet Ernie as a member of the Lucchese family, and we do business together when we socialize a lot, and we will still remain friends. So what happens is that I'm going to see Ernie all the time. He is asking me about information with the Lucchese's. Sometimes we do that. I did it with Blaze. There was other guys with other families. And what I mean by information is sometimes maybe they have to have a sit down with another member, maybe from, at that time, our Bagada, and they want to know who's his skipper, what's this guy like, what's he about. It's kind of like insider information, but we all did it. They did it, they did it when I asked them questions about people in their family. And like I said, we became very, very close in that way. I also used to do the same with Blaze, who I got along good with in the street. And what happens is that now I go and finally meet Mickey-Boy, because now when I go meet with Ernie, Mickey-Boy was there on a couple occasions. And I was a friend. Ernie never offered to do an introduction. I didn't ask. Sometimes that's the way it is. Sometimes a guy don't want to meet people. That's an old school mentality where they don't want to meet unless there's a reason to meet the person. They don't want to meet. And there came a day when Ernie introduces me to Mickey-Boy and introduces us as friends in that life. I like Mickey-Boy. He's more like the uncle type of guy, tough guy. You could see that in him, but gentleman. And we eat a lot, and we were going out, and I was meeting them in various places. But one of the places in Staten Island, for those of you who know, is Nucci's. And on one particular day, I showed up at Nucci's, and Ernie told me, come in the back, and it had like a back office. So we went in the back, and Mickey-Boy was back there, and there was another guy back there, and they had a laptop open, and they wanted me to listen to Mickey-Boy's wiretaps. So he must have got the wiretaps from Discovery. He had just gotten in a little bit of a trouble, not too bad of a pinch. He was out on bail. He got caught up with a bunch of other guys, but there were wiretaps. They wanted me to listen to the wiretaps and give my opinion. They were long. So I sat down, I was listening. They were so long that Ernie fell asleep during, he must have listened to them over and over again, but during the time that I was listening to them, I turned at one point and looked at him, he was sleeping. And Mickey-Boy was not. Mickey-Boy was listening the whole time as well. After I listened to them, Mickey-Boy asked me, what do you think? And to be honest with you, it was a shame because some of the wiretaps, you hear Mickey-Boy's wife speaking in them, and she had at that time since passed. And I kept thinking about that as I was listening to it and looking at him, and wondering, what could only be going through this guy's mind that he has to hear his wife on these wiretaps. And, he's grieving obviously over his wife. But to be honest with you, and this is the answer that I gave Mickey-Boy, was that aside from one piece of a conversation that speaks about picking up money or getting money and giving it to him, something along those lines, there was really nothing there on him. In my opinion, they had nothing. And that was my answer. I would never tell him that if just to make him feel good. I would tell him exactly what my feelings were. If they were bad, I would say they were bad. But I did tell him, Mickey, they don't have you. There's, except for this one thing. And he also agreed that that was the one little issue out of all the tapes. That was it. So now to present day, as I mentioned, Mickey now got bumped up. He's in part of the administration with the Gambinos. He's a consigliere for the family. He in that life, I guess he deserved that position. He's been around a long time. And Ernie, of course, took over Mickey-Boy's crew. And Ernie always had aspirations to be a boss. That was his mentality. Ernie liked to control and take over things, and that's where they're at today. So I just wanted to give you a little background on the both of them, and to show how one administration took a guy and put him on a shelf. The Sicilian faction took over the administration, close with Mickey-Boy. Mickey-Boy was able to get Ernie taken off the shelf, reenacted, and now today he's a captain and he took over Mickey-Boy's crew. That's just the way the life goes. Okay, so that's about it for now. I'd like to tell everyone thank you again for all the subscribers, not only to this channel, but to the Unlimited Substance channel. I thank you. And I thank you for all the messages that have been coming in. I thank everyone for the private messages. There's a lot of people reaching out and trying to help with various things. I appreciate that. I appreciate that with all my heart to all of you. I also like to give a shout out to all these countries. I'm getting bombarded by messages from a lot of different countries, and a shout out to all the countries outside of the US, of course, for everyone inside the US, our country. And let's keep it positive. Positive thoughts bring positive outcomes. That's all I could say. If you have not subscribed yet to this channel and you're watching this video, you can go down below and subscribe. If you have not subscribed to the other channel, I'll put a link down below. You can look it up by going to Unlimited Substance Podcast. And you could go there and you could do your thing there. Okay, I'm gonna go. I gotta go make my dinner tonight. Enjoy the rest of your day. Keep it positive, people, and ciao for now.